Hello, everyone. How are you? So, welcome to the webinar. Good morning or good afternoon to those of you in Sydney time. It's probably still morning for you guys up in Queensland. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Just while I'm waiting for everybody to jump on, it's been a long time since I've done a webinar. I actually can't tell you the last time I did a webinar. And I used to do them a lot, and as though I talk about this topic all day long and I have no issue talking about the topic, I will say preparing for a webinar and delivering a webinar has got me a bit nervous this time, which is hilarious because I used to do webinars to over 600 people at a time without a blink. So welcome everybody. So alrighty, well, I'm going to start off with just a bit of a welcome first of all, and for those of you that don't know me, I know I've got a lot of familiar faces and familiar names here on the list, as well as some new names, so wonderful to meet you all. Just a little bit of housekeeping to get started. This session is being recorded and you are welcome to ask questions at any point in time in the chat panel and the Q&A panel that's available to you there. I'm sure many of you are well-seasoned Zoom users after the last few years that we've been through. So please feel free to ask any questions in that Q&A panel at any point in time, and don't stress about recording the answer that's being shared or the information that's being shared on this session, because I am recording it for you. You will be sent to you afterwards, and any questions that are not answered today, you're welcome to obviously leave them in the chat at any point in time, and my team are there to answer the questions. I won't be answering them verbally because I already have 42 slides to get through. If you've not attended one of my webinars before, you'll not be disappointed if you came to learn about this topic today. You will get a lot of actionable advice, and yeah, it's going to be a big one. I speak fast, that's why I record everything, so you can go back over it if you need to. All right, so any questions, please put them in the Q&A. We will answer them throughout the session today. My team is there, my solution architects team that I work with every day is there, and they will also be gathering any questions that they may not be able to answer, and we'll get back to you after the session. You will also receive a survey after going through the video or the session here with me and all the little slides, and that'll give you another opportunity to ask any questions that you may not have now or not during the session, but you have afterwards. So anytime, any questions, please just share them. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jeri Wambeek, and I am the co-founder and chief solutions architect of Wow Connect. Wow Connect, it used to be called Which Add-on. That's what the WAO stands for. Wow Connect is a software consulting firm based in New South Wales in Australia. I myself am located up on the mid-north coast in New South Wales at Port Macquarie. And we've got team members in Sydney, an office in Sydney, as well as team members all over the world. So this webinar today is all about how to choose the right inventory management system for your business. Now, over the last 10 years, this is something that is very close to my heart, that I'm very passionate about. I've been working with inventory systems for the last 10 years. I'm an accountant by trade, but inventory system has really been where I've taken a great love, because I just love structure. I love systems. I love, most of all, solving problems. Now, I know that some of you are here because of the fact that you're actually being forced off a system, and we'll talk more about that, and you that are in that situation know exactly the scenario you're in, and we'll talk more about exactly what's happened to you and to many others. You're here because you're forced off a system, you need to pick a new one, and you've got a date, and someone called it a drop dead date the other day, and a sunset, and we'll talk more about that later. But some of you are here because you have to find a system and you've got no choice. Okay, others of you are here because your system that you have currently is just not working for you, and you need to find the best way forward to be able to make a choice. And some of you just want a process to be able to either help your own business, help your clients find the right inventory solution. Okay, so hopefully everything that I give you today is going to give you some tips, some insights, and some advice on the process to go through to be able to choose the right inventory system. All right, so today's agenda really quickly, what and why. And we're going to start with the basics. And I don't mean to bore you, but I have a pretty cool way of explaining what an inventory management system is. That's not like a textbook. That's not ratios. That's not, I'll do my best to keep things simple. I try to make everything complex that we do every day in a explained in a simple manner so that you guys can make it actionable. Everything I do is about making it actionable and helping you take it and run with it. So if you want to really take notes from the session today, get out your notepad, get out your pen, open a blank email. There will be actionable points that you can go through. Okay. So we're going to talk about what and why. What is an inventory system? Why do we need it? And how does understanding that help us really break down what we need in an inventory system, inventory management solution, so we can find the right inventory management solution. Okay, I'm going to talk about the process. We're going to step through the exact same process that we go through every single day, helping clients choose the right inventory management solution every single day. We're going to talk about your options. What are the inventory management solutions that are available to you? And of course, I have some basic assumptions of the people that are on the list of what you need and where you're at. And I'm going to share as best as I can the advice and the news about the industry, the solutions, so that I can help you through making those decisions today and help you understand the options that we usually recommend and why. Okay, I'm going to talk importantly about who you need. Who do you need to involve in this process of choosing the right inventory management solution? Often, people will go through the process and do it alone. Either a business owner does it alone over one weekend and decides that's what they want to do. Often there'll be a certain person in the business, and maybe that's you, that's been designated to go find the right solution and go make the choice. And the whole responsibility and ownership is on you to make the right choice to do it. But it's not what you do every day. You just know a bit about inventory, you know a bit about the business, but you now need to go be responsible for making that decision. So I'm going to step you through the processes you have to go through to help your business make the right decision. And that does involve documenting a lot of things, testing a lot of things. There is no shortcuts. I'm sorry. I wish I could say to you, yep, this is the best solution of all things. It's not the case. You do need to go through a process. I'm going to share that. Finally, we're going to touch a little bit on the identifying the costs, understanding the different costs, the different options. But once you've chosen the solution, what that solution is going to cost. All right. So back at the basics, what is inventory management? Inventory management, and I've worked on this definition for quite some time, over a number of months. It started out as a very boring, dry textbook definition, but I didn't like that because it doesn't really truly encapsulate what we do as inventory managers in our day-to-day. But here's what I've come up with. The goal of inventory management is to deliver great products to great customers as fast as possible and make great money doing it. All right. The goal of inventory management, not sales, not the warehouse, not the marketing team, not the purchasing team, everybody. The goal of inventory management and all of the people that are involved in those departments that I just shared, and accounting, of course, is to deliver great products to great customers as fast as possible and make great money doing it. So let's break that down. Okay, when you hear that definition, that's like, yeah, Jeri, that's great. But what are we talking about? And understanding the different points of each of those key concepts is what's going to help you draw out all of the needs that your business has of what you actually need to do inside the inventory management system in order to determine which inventory management system is going to be the right one for you. Okay, so when we're talking about deliveries, we're talking about delivering, we're talking about fulfillments, we're talking about sales orders coming in and sending shipments out. So we need to manage sales orders. We need to manage our shipments to those sales orders. We'll get a little bit more complicated. We need to be able to manage split shipments. We need to be able to manage back orders. When we do a split shipment, how do we manage the back orders when we don't have stock available? We've had to split ship or hold shipments to be able to send everything out later. And how does that all work in real life, in our business, in our systems, in our warehouse, or with our 3PL, or whatever your particular situation is. Okay, so breaking that down, that's just some examples of what we need to consider when we're talking about the system needing to help us deliver, and that being a core need, not just stock on hand. Inventory management is not just about stock on hand. It's about these core concepts, and this is number one. Great products. So when we talk about great products, we're talking about managing our product data. And later on, don't worry, we're going to come back to this, and I'm going to help you pull out all the different requirements of your business using these core concepts and using these points. So great products, we're talking about manage product data. We're going to manage our prices, how much we sell our products to our customers or our retail stores or wherever we're selling it. We need to manage our purchasing. Of course, if we don't purchase the right products, they won't be available to be delivered to the customers when the customer orders them. We need to manage our suppliers and have a really good, clean supplier database so everybody knows who we buy that from, when we need to buy it, how much it costs. And we need to manage our costs. So what is our cost for buying those goods from those suppliers? We need to record all that information about our products. We need to deal with our great customers. And when we're talking about managing great customers, we're talking about managing their data, having all the information at our fingertips with our customer data, contact details, managing customer agreements or special pricing agreements, managing quotes if that's relevant to your business, managing customer correspondence. So here I'm talking about correspondence, managing relationships, being able to keep track of what we're doing in order to keep that customer happy. And of course, as part of this whole thing and part of managing relationships is after sales service, being able to give good customer service after the delivery's happened, managing returns and other things. We're going to get into that later on, but these are just a couple to give you a bit of an idea of the things you need to explore to ensure that when you make this decision of which is going to be the right inventory management solution for you, that you have considered all of these different factors. As fast as possible. We want to be able to deliver great products to great customers as fast as possible. So what does that mean in a system sense? From a systems perspective, it needs to be simple to use. Now, that's different. Simple to use can mean many different things to many different people. Some people like systems that look like a spreadsheet. Some people like systems that look like an accounting system. Some people like systems that look like a website. It really depends on the nature of your business. For example, we see fashion clients, for example, loved the simplicity and the imagery and the layout of Trade Gecko or QuickBooks Commerce. That solution was mirrored off Shopify because that's their main connector that they connected to. So there was the ability to sort of get around that system simple. It was familiar, so they could use that, and that was really helpful for other people, such as people coming from wholesale or manufacturing legacy systems, big old archaic desktop systems. Some of them didn't like that change and that was something that they didn't like about that solution. They liked more not so much more complexity, but they like the way that it used to be and the way that it looked. Some things make sense to others and some things don't. So that's a really important thing when you go through your testing process, which we'll talk more about later, is to really think about the users that you have and what they like and if it is simple to use, because if it's simple to use, it's fast to manage your orders to deliver them to the customers. Connecting to your sales channels. Now, what are we talking about here? Connecting to your sales channels is relevant to making your inventory management and the related tasks as fast as possible, because you get your sales channels into your inventory management system as fast as possible. Okay, so gone are the days when people used to get, well, I hope gone are the days in your business, maybe they aren't, when you would get a WooCommerce order emailed to you and then you'd manually type it in to your inventory management system to then be able to print a pick list to send it down to the warehouse. Hopefully, most businesses these days, or certainly the ones we work with, an e-commerce order comes in from the e-commerce system automatically into the inventory management system and then pushes the information to the warehouse to go and pick it and send it out straight away. Okay, so maybe you may not have your own warehouse. And then when I say connect to your warehouse, I'm talking about either connecting to a screen where your warehouse team know what to pick next and what is a priority, and orders have been released and available to be able to see what's pickable. Or we're not talking about your own warehouse, we're talking about a 3PL where we need to connect to your warehouse and the orders that are available to be picked actually get sent to your 3PL. For those of you that not everybody here are inventory experts, 3PL, when I'm talking about that, I'm referring to a third-party logistics warehouse, a third-party warehouse. So if I'm not holding stock in my own warehouse, I'm holding stock in a company provides a warehouse and provides the service for me of holding my stock and sending it out for me. And lots of 3PL companies have, well, all 3PL companies have their own warehouse management system, their own inventory system in their own warehouse to manage the stock in the warehouse that they manage for all of their different clients. And we can connect your inventory management software to your warehouse. And we'll talk more about that later on in terms of the different solutions and the different people that we work with in order to connect your inventory system to your warehouse so you can get your orders straight to them. Now, I'll leave it at that for now. I can tell you much more about that later, and I have many webinars planned in future, as long as I safely get through this first one, in order to share a whole lot more with you. I might have one just about 3PLs, but for now, to get it as fast as possible, a system needs to be simple to use. We need to be able to connect our sales channels into the inventory management system, and if possible, or if relevant, connect our inventory management system to our warehouse or 3PL in order to get that order shipped out as fast as possible and delivered to our great customers. Okay, so the next thing is our system, in order to be as fast as possible, has to not only be simple to use, but the reason why it's simple to use is because it helps us cover our standard workflows or helps us cover our unique workflows. And I'm going to tell you why this is so important later on. We'll get into that. All right, making great money. This is our final point in our goal of inventory management is, of course, we're in business to make great money. We're in business to be able to ensure that what we're doing on a daily basis makes a profit. If it doesn't, we shouldn't be doing it. So making great money means that our inventory management system, or in our inventory management, in our system, is we need to be able to manage supplier prices. We need to be able to calculate landed costs. Landed costs are when you take the cost of freight and shipping and customs and duties and all of the costs to get your item from your supplier to your warehouse. When you think of an item's cost, it's not just the cost of what you have to pay the supplier, especially if you're importing, you have freight costs as well. So we often want to allocate those freight costs into the cost of the item so we can truly understand what it costs to us. So when we sell it at a certain price, we can calculate the correct margin or profit. Okay, so the system needs to be able to report on those margins and tell us when we're hitting them and when we're not. It needs to, of course, help us report on the sales. And by reporting on the sales, it enables us to forecast correctly. So create a new sales forecast of what we expect to sell, and therefore understand how much our customers are going to be demanding our products or expecting to buy from us in future. And that in turn helps us know what to buy in order to fulfill our warehouse, to have those great products available to deliver to those great customers as fast as possible. All right. Okay. Hope that all makes sense. Of course, if there's any questions, I'll take a breath for a second, and please make sure you're answering any questions in the questions box, any just general chat points, any advice, feedback. I'm all for it. All right. So the purpose of the inventory management system, as you can probably hear from what I've just shared with you, the purpose of the inventory management system is to ensure that there is enough great products to deliver as fast as possible to great customers when they order them, and to track all the products physically and financially through your warehouse to ensure that you're making great money. So the thing that I've added here is that the purpose of the system is to do all of the things that we've mentioned, which is the goal of inventory management. But the purpose of the system is to track all the products physically and financially as they move in, out, and through your warehouse. All right, so let's dig into that a little bit more, those two extra points. So tracking all products physically, what does that mean? Our system needs to be able to help us determine what help us manage our receipts, which means the stock when it arrives and it's received into our warehouse. How do we know what's happened, what's been received, and has it been received what we've expected, and all the things that go along with that. So we need to track the products as they come in. We need to track the products as they go into bin locations, or maybe not bin locations from a systems perspective, but where they are in your warehouse. Bin locations is a funny thing. I won't go into it anymore in this session, other than to say everybody wants it in theory, but in practice they don't. And my biggest advice for you, if you are reviewing different inventory systems now, ensure that you have a system that enables you to manage bin locations when you're ready. If you're not doing it yet, I wouldn't recommend doing it from day one, unless you have a way to manage the stock on a mobile within the space of your inventory management, your warehouse management system. Okay, so let me break that down. When bin location is about knowing exactly where the stock is in your warehouse. So if we have shelf A and the item is in shelf A, bin 12, okay, that's A12, that's where that item is. maybe you get a bit more extra stock and we can't fit it all in A12. So the stock is in A12 and there's a little bit in B16 as well. Okay, so by doing that, it makes us understand from a receiving perspective exactly where our stock is, how much we have, and exactly where to find it, whether you're dealing with a small warehouse or quite a large warehouse. Any of you that have decluttered or organized your house, as I've done, as very much over the last year, knowing where everything is a really good thing. Even if you think about it in your warehouse, I read a statistics the other day, I think 60%, or maybe it was 44%. I read a lot of statistics recently, but there was a huge statistic of how much time is wasted by warehouse people walking around warehouses trying to look for products. And what I say to people is, if you're going to use bin locations and you're going to use picking lists, do it in a way that my 12-year-old daughter can pick up the piece of paper and the pick list or look on the iPad and know exactly where to go find the item. That's where I want you to get with bin locations in future. You may not be there yet, but the whole idea of managing the bin locations and the stock in the bin locations is to ensure that you know where it is, but as soon as you need to move it from A12 to C18 because you need A12 for something else, you need to be able to tell the system what you're doing as you're moving it. So please don't implement bin locations in your business unless you have mobile devices, phones, laptops, iPads in your warehouse that enables you to show when you've moved an item from one to another as you're doing it, because I can guarantee you no one's going to move an item from one bin to another and then walk back to the computer, update it, and then go to the next one. So bin locations really, really helpful, and I want to help you get there because I know how efficient it can make everything, but don't do it unless you have a mobile capability. Okay. All right. Enough on that for now, and I won't rant on about bin locations. Very passionate about it. All right, facilitating barcoding and labeling. So what are we needing to do when we need to track products physically? We need to facilitate a system that enables us to facilitate barcoding and labeling. Another thing everybody wants, but nobody really wants when they really understand what it takes and the complexities behind it. We will be running a webinar on barcoding in a couple of weeks because I know how important it is to all of you in theory, and I want to help you be able to put it into practice. Tracking damaged goods and returns. I have a book coming out in a couple of months called Stock Control Success, and one of the biggest things that people just forget about and don't take seriously, and I know it sounds silly, but it's so important, is damaged goods, returns, keeping track of all those little things in the cycle of stock management that stop people from keeping accurate stock records because they just think of some of these things as so insignificant, cause the biggest problems, and we'll talk about that later. So your system needs to be able to have not only the ability to track those things, but help you to do it quickly. If you can't track it quickly inside the system, you're not going to do it because it already feels significant. So the system needs to make it easy to be done. Okay. Tracking manufacturing and or repacking processes. So kitting, bundling, repairing, managing any kind of product coming in as one thing and going out as another thing. And it may not be complex manufacturing. It may just be a repackaging, so to say. That's a process that if a product comes in as one thing and goes out as something different, there needs to be an easy way to be able to manage those products inside the inventory management system. Now, I want to just make a quick note here of the concept of things going through your warehouse. I couldn't find the exact place. I read this a couple of years ago, but I remember having a big aha moment. That was a bit of a low aha. I was expecting my aha, you know what I'm talking about. So in transit, the concept was the stock is not designed to sit in your warehouse. Your inventory system is not there to manage the stock just in your warehouse. It's managing the stock that's going through your warehouse. And I've actually just been finished reading a book called The Goal, and the goal is it's a manufacturing book. Because we all read manufacturing books as we're going to bed, but I do. So a manufacturing book about the concept that the goal of manufacturing is to make enough products that people want to buy, and the throughput, and we need to focus on the throughput and managing the right amount of inventory for the stock that we're actually going to sell. And so just simply the concept of being able to have a system that tells us how much we're selling, helps us predict how much we're going to sell. Those products that we're buying should be, from a mindset, transiting through our warehouse, not actually being stored in our warehouse. Now, yes, this involves needing to manage, I know practically you can go, Jeri, that sounds great, but I've got to manage minimum order quantities, or what we call MOQs. I've got to create sales forecasts, but I can't get all my sales from all my different places because it's too hard. And there's a number of reasons why that happens. I need to manage my lead times, which is the time that it takes from getting the stock from your supplier to your warehouse. And that's changing, and everything's changing in this current market, in this environment. And when my stock comes in, it's a different unit of measure to how it goes out. It might come in as a box of 50, but then I sell it as individuals 50, but I also sell it as 50 as well, not just individual units. And sometimes I break boxes. There's a whole bunch of scenarios. I know exactly what you're talking about and the struggles that you go through, but we need to manage and have the mindset that the products are working through our warehouse. And that's what our inventory management system should help us do. All right. So that's what is the purpose. That's the what and why of an inventory management system. Let's get into finding the right inventory management system. The process for finding the right inventory management system is for your business to research the options, understand and document your standard and unique workflows and requirements, and then test these workflows thoroughly and the different requirements thoroughly in this inventory management system, including the required and the desired integrations. All right. As you can expect, it's a lot of things to do. It's daunting on its own, but we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down a lot through the rest of this session. All right. So the process, first of all, we need to research our options. It's an 8-step process. Okay. Research our options. Yes, you need to consider your budget. If there's certain solutions that are completely out of your budget, then please take them off your shortlist straight away, because there's no point wasting your time looking at them if they are out of your budget. Okay, if they might be in your budget, if you don't know the value they provide yet, then you can leave them there. And we're going to talk through each of these points, but I'll highlight them and then we'll go through each one in detail. Secondly, you need to understand and document your workflows. Okay, now when I'm talking about workflows here, I'm talking about what is exactly going on in your business, because I'd like to say that every business is the same, that every inventory management system can handle every single business. But as someone that has over the last 10 years worked with 15 different inventory solutions at different levels and had a lot of experience, a lot of different systems, and I pride myself on in the past being able to offer many different solutions, because I truly do believe that there is not one perfect system. And if there was not a perfect system for a client, or not a great fit for a client, we would go and find a new one. And some of you, even on this call today, were involved in helping us put in the inventory management solutions for the first time as we worked through putting in your inventory management system. And you now need a new one. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But some of you were involved in that process, and you saw what great effects the new system that we found for you creates, and what it changed in your business and what it helped, which I know that other systems that were available to you at the time would not have fit. Okay, so understanding and documenting the workflows is really, really important because there is different ways that different inventory management systems do things, and being able to understand how your workflow fits within those businesses, within those systems is super important. Okay, step 3, testing those standard workflows. I can't tell you how many times people have tried to give me a list of their requirements. So step 2, and then said, Jeri, which inventory system do we need? And it's not, and I can give an understanding of what systems I think are worth looking at, so I can shorten that list to a short list, but I can't give you the exact solution until I know exactly how those workflows work, because we've implemented many systems for many people over the years, and before we did a very thorough process of looking at the standard plus the unique workflows and documenting them, we were always hitting problems that later on down the track there would be something that happens in that business that never got brought up in the initial testing phase, that wouldn't be enough to make the system unusable, but it would just be a bump in the road we didn't need. And so going through and actually testing the standard workflows and the unique workflows of your business thoroughly inside the system is super important. Okay, we'll talk more about the thoroughly later. So what's the difference between a standard workflow and unique workflow? I just want to highlight that now, because you'll be wondering what I'm talking about. I will go into the examples of unique workflows later, but a standard workflow is a sales order coming in from Shopify, going into inventory management system, being pushed down to your warehouse, a the pick list being printed or being viewed on a computer, someone picking the item, someone putting it in a box, someone packaging up the box, putting an invoice in the box, putting a sticker on the box, or going to the shipment system, printing off the label, sticking it on the box, and sending it for a manifest for the couriers to come pick it up, to send it to the customer. And then those fulfillment details, the carrier, the tracking number, going from the shipping software or from being manually entered into the inventory management system, if you're at that stage, and going from the inventory management system back to Shopify. And then Shopify tells the customer, the goods are on your way, here's your tracking number. If this is not something that's in your business now, it needs to be, because it's very easy to do. But that's a standard workflow, okay? What's not a standard workflow? What's a unique workflow on this? Let's just say the products that are being sold on your website are a mix of pre-order products and standard products. So a product that you have available, and pre-order means a product that you don't have available. You're allowing people to pre-order it. So when that order comes in, if that just went straight through into the warehouse, when that person is going in and picking those items, they're going to find one of the items, and the other item they're not going to find because it's on a pre-order and they're not going to see it yet. So what do we manage? What do we do with that pre-order? How do we manage the back order? What happens with that process? I've still got people in the past that come to me that are printing off that order and then manually putting it in an in tray, waiting for the goods to come in later. And there's much better ways of doing things. But that's an example of a standard workflow versus a unique workflow. So when you actually go through and document what your workflows are, ignoring whether they are initially standard or unique, it'll draw out all of the unique things about your business that you need to make sure the system can do if you're making the choice and the solution on your own. Next, we've got testing the required integrations and the desired integrations. So we'll talk more about this later, but I'll highlight here the required versus the desired. So there is some integrations that we need that are going to help achieve that goal of inventory management right away. And there's some later on that are just desired, that if we put them in place, they will take away some of the manual work that we're needing to do, some of the workarounds that we're needing to do inside our business. So of course, when choosing an inventory management system, the required integrations and being able to determine what systems you currently use and which ones you must connect to your inventory management system, which ones already connect to your existing inventory management systems, and which ones that you are going through and still need to decide whether you want to invest in connecting to them or not. You need to go through that process and determine what they are. So for us, when we first meet a client, we do what's called a current integration map, and we literally ask them all of their systems, and we put on a big map, and I'm going to show you the system we use shortly, that lists all of the different integrations that we have, or that business has. And then we look and we go through the process of determining what they're going to want. So once we go and say replace the inventory management system, let's call it locate inventory with their new system that we're recommending, we'll show them what that looks like. Or if there's two systems that we're recommending, we want them to decide which one it is, then we'll give them an integration map for both and go, this is what your current system's layout looks like with your current system and with recommended system 1 and recommended system 2. Okay, so if you haven't already, as part of your processes, not only do you have to worry about what you need the system to do from a workflow perspective, but you need to worry about what all your existing systems are in your business and what needs to be connected to your inventory management system and what you want to be connected to that. Step 7, review the pricing and the implementation options against your budget. And this is part of making a decision, do you want to self-implement or do you want to use an expert? And 8, you've got to make the choice on the system and the implementation method to be able to do that. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of work, and we are going to break it down further, but it's very important that you follow these different processes in order to be able to change over your systems, or change your business to a system that's going to suit you. And there's, as much as possible, no hidden problems in the future. Okay, yes, when we're dealing with changing systems, we're not just dealing with systems and data, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with training, we're dealing with support, we're dealing with resistance, we're dealing with people that don't want to have new systems, we're dealing with people that don't like change or don't want to be automated or don't want to be digitized. There's so many things that we're managing through this process. I say that we do what we do every day is 30% systems, 70% change management, and actually managing with people. Okay, so that's going to be the same case with you, no matter which path you go down with finding the right inventory management solution. An inventory management solution is the heart of your business. It's the heart of your operations. If it stops, that's it. If it stops, then the whole business stops for a while until it comes back up again, and then everything starts flowing again. But it stops. It's important. You need to be able to make that right choice. So if you do this testing, if you write down and document and spend a bit of time doing this as thoroughly as possible beforehand, then the less likely you're going to have hiccups and things that pop up unexpectedly later on, because it's not unexpected because you already knew it was coming. All right. So what often goes wrong when people are choosing? They turn that 8-step process into a 4-step process. And they research the options, they get excited, and we'll talk about where you can put together a short list a little bit later. They research the options, they test the standard workflows. Often this is the case. And then they, or some people just look at the feature list and go, oh, yep, it's got a tick on manufacturing, it must be perfect. Oh, yep, it's got a tick on a Shopify integration, it must be perfect. That's not the case. Unfortunately, it's not. So test the standard workflows, they get to that point, then they go, okay, let's review the pricing implementation options against the budget, and then we make a choice. They don't go through the relevant detail that you need to go through to make sure that you're finding the right system. Okay, so I'm not going to go on any further about the process, other than we're now going to talk about the process again, other than we're going to delve down into each one of these different points. Okay. Now, researching options. Now, from here on in and even up to now, I'm making the basic assumption that as a business or as an accountant here advising your clients, you are either one that you are using Xero or you want to use Xero. You want to use a cloud-based system. If you're here listening to me, you know I'm an accountant. I predominantly use Xero when it's usable, in terms of a client hasn't outgrown Xero, and we only implement cloud-based systems. Okay, so if you're not here for these 3 things, please jump off now, and I apologize for not giving you the right impression prior to joining. But I expect that you are using Xero or want to use Xero, or you've outgrown Xero and you need an ERP and you're stuck knowing how to make that jump into an ERP. And we never used to implement ERP until a couple of years ago, but because our clients were outgrowing Xero, we had to come up with a solution, which I'm going to tell you about later. And you want to be cloud-based. That's just a no-brainer. If you're talking to me, I'm going to only tell you about cloud-based things. I cannot help you with non-cloud-based things. Okay. Now, the options that you could put on your shortlist of inventory solutions to review for your business, they've actually reduced over recent years and not increased. You'd think that over time there'd be more solutions, more options, people would create new solutions because they want to create a better one. Certainly CRM solutions and project management solutions and email solutions and task management solutions, there's one popping up every week, but not the case with inventory management solutions, and I'm going to talk about why in a second. So this is a little sort of sneak peek of what it looked like in the past, and some of these solutions still exist now, but not all of them. So here was a look at some of the options, and we've reduced. And again, I'm obviously not picking up absolutely every option that's ever available. I certainly am showing you here solutions that we used to implement, and I've implemented in businesses over the last 10 years, every single one of these solutions, some of them multiple times, some of them a couple of times, some of them 50 plus times. Okay. These solutions are they're not, I know every single one of them. I know every single one of them, but unfortunately, not every one exists anymore. So here I'm listing the options that were on that front page that were your options in the past. And I'm going to highlight some and talk about some 2 emerging options that are becoming more and more common and why they're becoming that as I continue through the solution. So what happened? For those of you that don't live in the industry every single day like I do, why did those options reduce? First of all, and this is in no exact order, and I didn't get all the details on all of them, but just to give you an idea. So Stitch Labs, an inventory management system out of the US, was acquired by Square in June 2020 and sunsetted in June 2021. Now, sunsetted means that a solution is stopped being used. Some of you are in this exact situation now where I said you're being forced off the solution. Being sunsetted means there is a particular date you must move off that solution, and find a new one and get all your data out. That's it. That sunsetted just means it's off. See you later. Okay. Some companies compensate you for the customers for doing that. Some haven't. They've just taken that and walked away. And as I said, a lot of you are in that situation. Stocky was acquired by Shopify. It's a Shopify app that they purchased. They haven't really done too much with it since then, and it'd be interesting to see where this is going to go as Shopify itself creates a bit more inventory functionality within it for the smaller businesses. We shall see. Sin7 was acquired by Rubicon, a US investment company, private equity and partners in 2019. Dia was acquired by Sin7 and the same people that own Sin7 in February 2021, along with another solution called AutoHive. So consolidating the market, but the solutions have stayed the same. They've stayed as they are and in very different niches. Unleashed, one of the original inventory solutions. It's actually how I got into inventory in the first place back in 2013. They were acquired by Access Group, which I don't get into this too much, but I believe it's the same group that owns Attaché. They were bought in November 2020. TradeGecko was acquired by Intuit in August 2020 and is in sunsetting in June 2022. We're currently in the process helping many people already move off TradeGecko and help them find their solution, or they're in the process of determining which solution they want to use. Vend was acquired by in March 2021. If you want to talk about consolidating, similar to what Sin7 and Dia have done up the top here. Lightspeed, I didn't know this until this morning, has actually purchased 13 solutions, 13 other solutions. So I knew they'd purchased Lightspeed, which was a point of sale system for retail stores in itself. I knew it had bought Vend, but I didn't, and I knew it bought Counter. I didn't realize it had bought all of these other solutions as well. So talking about consolidating and making sure that there's only a few options. I thought the inventory space was bad, but the POS, it certainly is a whole lot more. We don't work solely with retail businesses. We work with inventory management businesses that have retail as a channel along with the other channels. Locate Inventory, one of the inventory solutions out of the US, they brought here to Australia by us, and we're working with them heavily here in Australia. They were purchased by Xero in November 2021, and they're sunsetting in October 2022. And just when I thought that was it and that was all done last year, when I thought there was no more solutions to buy, Fishbowl, which is a bit of an outlier, it's more in the US and it's a solution run as more as a franchise type model here in Australia. They were purchased by Glassdoor in December 2021. So that's the ones that I actually know about and care about and have had some involvement in testing and working with over the last 10 years. You can see why our solutions and different options have reduced. Okay, so that's what's happened. That's how we went from the first slide to where we are now. Okay, now I want to talk to you about the options that we see as the options here at WOW Connect now and why these are the solutions. And we will continue to talk about the steps in which to help you make your choices in inventory management system. But I just want to quickly talk about the two solutions we choose solely here at this point in time. Because of the situation, not only has what you just seen happen with the acquisitions affected your businesses directly, for those of you that are being sunsetted, and I'm very sorry for that. As you can imagine, it's also affected our business as well, not necessarily in a negative way from a financial perspective or from a growth perspective, just simply from making me a little gun shy to finding new solutions all the time, because we have a big team. We've got almost 40 people now that need to be trained on new solutions. It's not a small team, and I can't just constantly throw new solutions at everybody. So I've decided as a business this year, we're focusing on Dia and Odoo as our two major solutions, because they are the best of breed solutions that cover a lot of the requirements that our customers need for those that are being sunsetted, and those that are even more complicated than the customers that we've even worked with in the past. And I can't go into the detail. We're going to be running series on what you can get out of Dia and what you can get out of Odoo, so you can get more educated on this as time goes on. We've also gone through the process of connecting Odoo to Xero. So for those people that want to stay on Xero, then Odoo is an option. Odoo is an ERP solution. It has its own accounting functionality. It's a cloud-based solution. The reason why we went with it was because NetSuite, we were partners with NetSuite for a number of years. Once I knew what Odoo could do, NetSuite was just way too expensive from a licensing cost. I just the solution was the same. The cost of NetSuite was too high. I just couldn't recommend it anymore because I myself wouldn't go pay for that when I can get the same thing for the price of what Odoo is. So for those of you that are hearing for Odoo at the first time, Odoo can do more things than Deer. It is customizable, but we still love Deer for all the things that it can do. And these are and we feel like this covers majority of our businesses and the business types. And I don't have time to go into that now, but the other emerging one I just want to mention is Katana. Katana is a solution coming out of Europe that is an MRP solution. It's emerging, and I do not recommend it yet because it's just not big enough for the market of the types of customers that we work with. It's very much a small Shopify, Etsy type store, for example. They don't have partial sales orders and partial shipments at this point in time. It's still on their roadmap. So when I see things like that, I'm always constantly looking for new solutions to see if there's something better out there or more suitable so we can add it to our portfolio. But Katana's, it's sitting there, it's a maybe, it's not there yet in my mind. Okay. And I am working with them to help them understand what I think, when I believe it will be suitable to add to our mix, because I like having a mix. Now, the industry future, we just have to wait and see. QuickBooks obviously bought TradeGecko. QuickBooks is rolling the TradeGecko features in some form or another into QuickBooks Advanced. It's in the United States only at this point. I can't give you more details from that. If you're from the US, we can talk about that later, but I'm not going to cover that now, as the majority of our markets in Australia here. The Xero has purchased Locate, as you saw. They plan initially for releasing Xero inventory in the US, and we'll be working with them closely in the US and obviously waiting for it to come out over here as well. But we don't know what those solutions, how far those solutions are going to be on par with Deer and Odoo and the solutions that are available and how many requirements they're going to fit. Okay, so we are just all going to have to wait and see. Right now, it's not an option. Okay, so let's just quickly jot down the points of what we need to do to research our options. I've given you a bit of my options. I've talked to you why those solutions are listed there. If you want more further detail of why we do or don't work with any of these solutions or whether they are right for your business, you can organize a free discovery call with us and we'll share those with you. But then I just want to continue to get through the how-tos of the process. And obviously, if you have any questions, put them in the question box. So research your options. Make a list of all your options. If you're on Xero, go to the Xero app marketplace. If you're planning to move to Xero, go to the Xero app marketplace, write them down, and work through the process. If you need an ERP solution, the major ERP solutions that are cloud-based that work in this space are Odoo and NetSuite. And these two solutions I mentioned, and we work with them because they connect to the same things that Xero connects to that we're used to when your business has been connected to that. Of course, you can always Google, but go create a shortlist, work through testing each solution. How do you do that? You need to understand and document your workflows and requirements. Like I've mentioned, you need to really highlight and pull out those standard workflows and those unique workflows, the integrations. Please try and split up your, when you make this big list of features of what you need before you start testing, try and split it up into must-haves and nice-to-have features, because you're not going to find those solutions perfectly in every single solution. And please talk to every department in your business to capture the workflows across departments and the workflows that are outside of your expertise. If you're the inventory manager or the purchasing manager, you know that really well, but you also need to fully understand what your other teams need as well. Especially if you're looking at an ERP solution, you've got to understand where they want to go in the future. So just a quick tool I wanted to share with you, which I love. It's called Whimsical. We used to use Lucidchart. And for those of you that go, oh, documenting workflows, that all sounds too hard, I don't want to do it. Let me just very quickly show you what we use. So here's an example of a webinar, of a workflow in Whimsical. So you can do like 3,000 little boards like this in Whimsical before you get started, so you can use it for free. But if you want to document the workflows, this whole process here, I just created just in a few seconds. So if you're talking to someone about documenting a workflow, it literally can be created as fast as you can talk. So we're going to say research options. Okay, I'm just going to select this little arrow across here. All right, research options, create shortlist. Sorry, I'm trying to type quickly because I'm aware of the time. We can't type when I'm talking. Create shortlist, document workflows, and then choose solution. All right, if only if it was that easy. Oops, we obviously forgot a section. So we're going to drag this over here. We're going to delete this out and we're going to add another one in here and we're going to say test everything. Okay, and then we're going to choose our solution. And then we're going to look at budget, whatever. Okay, then we're going to discuss with team, and then we're going to choose our solution. All right, so not pretty. You can do colors, you can do all sorts of things in here, but not very well structured. But in terms of being able to create workflows when you're not a workflow expert, this is one of the quickest ways to be able to document each of those things. All right, so please have a look at Whimsical. It will help if it's the first time you've ever documented workflows before. All right, so how do we test the standard workflows thoroughly? Once we've documented it, and literally, I don't have time to go through and teach you any more about workflows other than what I showed you, other than visualize what's really happening in real life, capture every step that works inside your current system, capture every step that doesn't work inside your current system, and determine that you can find a system that will help you do each of those things. Okay, so test the standard workflows thoroughly. Get a free trial or a demo environment, get in there, use your actual data to test it. Don't use the test data because there's things you'll miss if you do that. Work through your actual workflows and your actual data. Remember, we're talking about recording great products before. Go actually into your existing database, whether it's Shopify, whether it's a spreadsheet, or whether it's another inventory management system, and look at every single field that you're using inside your existing system and make sure that there is one of those fields inside the new system. There may not be a field for those options. You need to really look at that and make sure there is. If you can't get a trial or demo environment because the software solution doesn't allow that, sometimes you can work with experts like us who can enable that. Otherwise, if you're working directly with a salesperson, ask them to show you how. Please don't just give them a list and go, here's my requirements. Tell me if it does or doesn't. I guarantee when we started Witch Out on years ago, we would send out these comparison sheets to software companies to say, can you tell us what you do? And they would say yes. And the best thing to say is sometimes that yes on a feature list, whether it's on GetApp or Capterra or on when you ask them directly to give you the truth, it can be a nasty solution. Yes, it might be a yes, but it might be a really nasty way of doing it and a workaround and really doesn't do it the way you want it to do it. So don't just take yes as yes, actually ask them to show you how. And these day and age with little videos, we do all of our testing and showing you how things work with little mini couple of minute videos per every single feature and workflow that you need and every single phase. If you're software company that you're working with, the salesperson can't do that for you, then I'd be asking, can it really do it if they can't show you? Okay. Now, don't make any assumptions. Please don't assume that because this system records that product data, that this system records that product data, that this system allows you to add a custom field that you can add a custom field, that this system allows 15 price lists, that system allows 15 price lists. It's not the case. Okay. So please look. Testing unique requirements thoroughly. Unique requirements we're talking about here. So now I want to bring up some of the common problem areas. So I've touched on one of them a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to continue working through some of those. So I already mentioned split shipments, back orders, pre-orders. These are all the little things where over the years, until we started doing really detailed testing down to the granular level we do now, we used to just not realize some of these things were problems. And then when we're implementing and helping people migrate to these new solutions and going through training, these are the things that crop up as problems. And there was different solutions. For example, locate inventory we loved because it was amazing at contract manufacturing. And they really thought about contract manufacturing in a way that no one ever had before. And it made it amazing. Okay. So if it's not a thing that the software company has really thought about, it can be really cumbersome, like really, really cumbersome to the point that people don't even want to use an inventory management system if you have contract manufacturing, which is becoming more and more common. So these points are just things. If they are areas of things that you do in your business, make note, highlight it, and go, I'm going to test how that works inside the inventory management system before I make my choice. Okay. Split shipments, back orders, pre-orders, multiple SKUs across various sales channels. So if you have different SKUs across different sales channels, be it Amazon and FBA are the most common, as well as Shopify and others, what problems is that going to cause? Or how does your system handle it? Contract or outsource manufacturing, different units of measure, but that means buying and selling in different sizes. Semi-advanced manufacturing. And what I mean by that is sometimes we want more than just a bill of materials. Sometimes we want more than just tracking the raw materials. We want a little bit of time, a little bit of labor. We want to have the potential to be able to do things later. We want to have the potential to be able to manage quality management and tracking certain things, temperatures, stock when it's being checked on the way in, stock that's being checked on the way out, all sorts of processes. We need to really identify if that's something that you need now, because there is solutions that can do that. Okay. More common problem areas: customer special pricing, B2B portal features. How many pet systems have B2B portals and I can't even sell them because they don't do much, right? They might look pretty, but they don't do much. So really think about what your B2B portal features are now, if you have it, or what you want, and see if those solutions do it, because sometimes the B2B portal lets you down. Batch and serial tracking. And is it real batch and serial tracking? Run it through the system, actually test a full scenario to see what it feels like, what it looks like, how much information you need to record, how you update it. Can you scan things? Can you upload serial numbers? What is the process? What is the options for your warehouse management system? I apologize, I was lazy there and I just used the acronym, but your warehouse management system is the system that you actually use physically in the warehouse to go and pick things. What are your expectations that you need to be able to do for that? For example, if you want bin locations, make sure you have a mobile warehouse management system so that it can be easy to update. Do you have repairs in your business? Do you have after sales customer services and warranties? Do you have subscriptions? Do you have rentals? We're dealing with customers that need those things, where they have to manage things outside of the system before, but then now they can manage their rentals inside the system, as well as all of these other things, because you need them. Okay, so there is a lot more, but there is some highlighting ones that I wanted to make sure that I covered for you to really give you a kickstart of those. What are those unique things that you might not think are unique to you, but they are, because we know when we do it every day. All right. So let's just recap, recircle back around and go, okay, how did that stuff we learned at the beginning within each of those different core concepts of an inventory management system, where does that fit? Okay, sales is a standard workflow, shipments, the standard workflow, split shipments and back orders. Some businesses it's standard workflow, some businesses it might be unique, so it doesn't happen very often, but you can make that call for yourself. Managing product data, prices, how many price tiers you have, what currencies they're in, detailed requirements, managing purchases, there's a standard workflow, suppliers, costs, what do you need to record about those? Do you need to have multiple suppliers? Some systems don't have multiple suppliers available for a product, it only has one. Right? Managing customer data. One of the things that comes up as a problem in a lot of systems is the fact that it is you can't manage parent companies versus like parent-child companies, like Bunnings head office and all the different Bunnings stores. You can't manage that. There's little things like that you need to determine is important. So look at what your current system does and try and do the same things you do in your current system inside the other system and see if it fits. That's the whole part of testing it. So I won't go through every single one of those, but there's obviously highlighting there. You can look back at the slides afterwards. So going fast as possible, we need to know that it's simple to use. Yes, everybody wants it to be simple to use, but don't go too simple that you lose features and you need to be doing constant workarounds. All right, mapping out your integrations. Every integration is different. I'd like to say they're the same, but they're not. So please test that, write down that unique workflow. Managing supplier prices, landed costs. These are all requirements that you need to capture and consider how you do it now and if the new system does it for you. All right, running out of time, so I'm not going to go through those. We're going to get into the required integration. So what I believe is the required integration for your business in most cases is your sales channels. We mentioned before, the quickest way we can get our sales into our inventory management system, the quicker we can allocate stock so that we make sure we don't sell it to someone else, and the quicker we can deliver those goods to those great customers as fast as possible. Okay, so your e-commerce, if you don't have these solutions, if you have these sales channels, you don't have them connected up to your inventory management system now, and you want to, then we of course need to look at that for you. You need to look at those and look at the options and the integrations that exist, or if they don't exist as already connections, then you need to be able to build a custom connection, which is very, very possible and much more affordable these days than it used to be. There used to be the case that you'd be talking about custom integrations being built to 3PL connections or to software, and you're talking $20,000, and now you're talking between $1,500 to $5,000, depending on what systems you're connecting to and what your requirements are, and how unique the workflows are and how detailed it is. So little highlight in terms of different options that are available. So 3PL connections, I've talked a little bit about. You often won't be able to go to a 3PL's website and see that they connect to Deer, for example, or to Odoo. But once you know what that 3PL is, we use a partner called DataBot. DataBot is essentially a connector that connects inventory management systems. And for us, we use it for Deer with 3PLs, with EDI, and with also marketplaces like Iconic when there's no existing integrations. So that's DataBot. We use those for the integrations, the custom integrations that we need built that don't exist already, and very affordable, great team to work with. And for us, for Odoo, we use our custom development team, our own in-house development team, to build custom integrations to Odoo when they don't already exist. So to SPS Commerce for EDI, to 3PLs, and we've done it in multiple countries now, to Channel Advisor, customized Shopify integrations. We need more than what the existing Shopify integration is, lots of things. Forecasting and demand planning, this again, desired integration. A lot of the time when people have a great inventory management system, they need a forecasting and demand planning system. We personally use Inventory Planner. There is stock trim, others. I don't have time to learn them, and Inventory Planner covers a lot of those. So Inventory Planner is our main go-to for those, for that. And it's obviously integrated, sucks data out of your inventory management system. Data entry automation. So if you don't want to have to enter in manual sales orders, enter in bills, enter in receipts, enter in Shopify payouts, Amazon payouts, there's different data entry automation systems, which we'll be highlighting more in the coming months as we have time to share more with you. Reporting, you can connect these systems up, these inventory systems up, or you will need to connect your inventory system up. If it doesn't have the standard reporting inside the system, you're going to need to build custom reports. You're going to need to connect it up to a business intelligence tool to be able to do those things. That's becoming more and more common. And slowly the inventory systems are improving their own reporting on the basis that they know that's what they need to do. All right. It is 1:01 and I think I have like 3 slides left. So I'm going to keep on pushing on. Hopefully you're still with me. I completely appreciate if you have to jump off because we've hit the time. So what do we do when we need to make the decision on the right inventory management system after we've tested the workflows, after a system has covered most of what we needed to do? How do we then, and I can tell you a solution is unlikely to do everything that you want to do perfectly. It will do some, if the right system will do 95, 97% of what you want it to do in the way you want it to do it, in a really automated way, if you can afford it. If some systems won't, and sometimes your budget doesn't stretch to what some of those systems that can do 97% of what you want it to do, and you need to select a solution that is at a cheaper price that will still do majority of what you want it to do, but you go into it knowing that there is going to be some workarounds, there is going to be some manual work, and it's okay because you know what to do, you know how to handle it, you've got a plan. It doesn't become a roadblock once you've installed it, and that's an important thing to be aware of. Okay, so when you're at the stage of reviewing the pricing, the implementation options, after you've done the testing and you've determined which solutions you like more and more, how much does the software cost initially and how much it's going to cost ongoing? Licensing fees are usually very clear on your website, on the website. If they're not clear on the website for you for that particular software solution, just contact a salesperson and ask for a quote. Are you going to self-implement, or are you going to use an expert to do the implementation? Obviously, we are experts that do implementations, but I completely understand if your business is not in a stage that it can help you do that, then I'm not going to not give you the information on what to do and what to think about in order to prepare for that. Okay, so if you are going to self-implement, who in your business has the expertise to manage the data migration, the training, and the ongoing support of your team to move to that new solution? You've got to have that software champion. A software champion, just the next point, is someone that you need whether you're doing the self-implementation yourself or whether you're using an expert like us, because we will train your entire team and help do all the data migration and help answer all of your questions. But there still needs to be that software champion in your business that is the person that knows everything that we know and that we share, so that they are that go-to person, especially if you have larger teams. Sometimes we have more than one, depending on how many modules or how many solutions we're implementing. Okay, so who has the expertise to do it, and who will be your software champion that will be working on that project. And then most importantly, people think about the initial part. They think, okay, this person can do it, they can go through the process. But before you even embark on actually picking, not just picking, once you've even picked the solution, please take a moment to consider what needs to be managed at go live. So the day that you go live is where we say this is the day we turn off the system and turn the old system and turn on the new one, especially when you're dealing with integrations, and what needs to be managed at the go live to successfully migrate from one solution to the other. So how do we get our open orders? How do we get our change over our integrations, turn off one and turn on the other, but still have all the right data at the right place? And the point, who's going to import the stock take, who's going to reconcile that information in the new stock system with the accounting system? There's many more things that we go through in a pre-go live process, but who's going to manage that process and what will need to be managed, and make sure you have clear responsibilities and give yourself time. Even something as simple as a stock take, I've just talked about importing it here. I used to tell clients to do what's called a mock take. And I don't deal with clients directly on implementations anymore, but my team does. And we recommend doing a mock take, which is where you literally go and do a stock take of your warehouse a week or so or a month before, to actually simulate what it's going to be like to count all of the items in your warehouse and to make sure that everything is accurate. Not only will that give you a good line in the sand to not have too many changes, hopefully within a month or a week of an implementation, of a stock take, of having a new one, but also it gives you an understanding of how long it takes. I had clients once that sold chocolate, and they had batch numbers on their items, and they'd never had a batch system before. And they didn't realize that the stock take was going to take them 4 days to get through. And they only allowed, 1 day. And therefore their go live was pushed, and everyone was stressed because it took 4 days instead of 1, because they were still stock taking when they're supposed to have been learning the new system. So these things, they happen with us not going on site anymore necessarily for go lives. We have more flexibility to push things out a day or two, and if we need to, because we have a Slack channel open for all of our clients, essentially, the whole business hours, and someone rusted on to help you. You don't have to worry about if someone's not physically there, because there's a whole team across the business. So who will manage the go live? So not only who's going to manage the pre-go live, but who's going to manage the go live, and who's going to be there to answer questions when you need them. All right. Final list of considerations, because these are just more things that are important, and I hope I've given you a lot of context as to all the things you've got to not worry about, but consider, so you don't have to worry about them later. Available languages and localization. So for example, locate inventory, when I first met them, they weren't localized for Australia. They had to localize for Australia and connect to Xero so we could bring them to Australia. And in the end, they ended up being bought by Xero. So all good for everybody. Now, the solution localization is to do with not only the actual features, the dates, the way things are recorded in the system, what the document templates look like, but also local taxes, really big one, local taxes, special sales taxes and other things. Okay, so really look at those things, test those things properly. A lot of people have tried to tell me about new inventory solutions, and then I see that they're not even localized for Australia, and obviously we're not interested for the majority of our market. Multiple entities and consolidation. So had a client yesterday sign up to Deer. They then told us that they had another entity they needed. So they need to buy 2 Deer files, 2 Xero files, and they need to consolidate them because they hadn't mentioned throughout our entire detailed process that they had another entity that they did something else with that they would now like to move as well. And they thought they could do everything in the one solution, but they can't. Okay. Number of transactions. This was well, it still is a big thing. In the past, for example, TradeGecko had a hard limit of 30,000 transactions per month. And if you went over 30,000 transactions per month, then it would just stop taking in orders. Locate inventory, the reason why we asked them to come to Australia was we had clients that were already heading over that threshold of 30,000 and predicted to do that in COVID. They went well over that 30,000. So thankfully, we never put them on Trade Gecko and got Locate brought to Australia for them. Locate, for example, could handle over 150,000 transactions per month without blinking an eye. Xero for wholesalers. Xero has current transaction limits of soft limits of 1,000 invoices per month, but I expect in time as they bring Xero inventory or Locate into Xero, then those transaction limits won't be anything to worry about anymore. But for right now, you do need to consider how many transactions you have and ask the question, how many transactions can that system safely handle? Existing systems and integrations are available, even the ones that are not stock related. So what CRM are you using? What industry specific apps are you using? And do you need them to be connected to your inventory management system? I'm thinking Automentum, ordering portals used a lot in the cafe industry, coffee roasting software like Cropster, recipe finder, recipe recording software. There's lots of things available, quality management, etc. Okay. Documenting new procedures and ongoing training. Who is going to do it? In our business, we create training manuals, customized training manuals for every single client going live with all of their different processes on their new system, because we know how important that is to help people when they're starting with the new system. Public API, is it available and does it have good documentation? And the best person to suss that out for you is if you're having looking at different inventory management solutions and you're having any integrations being built. Ask the, let's say, DataBot, for example, if you want to connect. I had a client the other day that wants to connect TrackPod, which is a delivery software, with Deer. The best way to find out if Deer has a good API and TrackPod has a good API available to do what you wanted to do is to speak to a person like that if you're dealing with Deer, or to speak to our team in relation to Odoo if you obviously go down the path of looking at either those solutions. The other thing you consider is your future business plans. Are you looking at new countries? Are you looking at marketplaces? Obviously, just expand your thinking. When you do this inventory management move, you don't want to be doing it very often. Again, I know some of you are, and it's not nice. There's some of you having to do this because of your solution sunsetting, but we're all in the same boat. I hope we don't have to do it again for years. I hope. All right. I think that's it for now. I'm going to quickly round up with, obviously, the solutions that we use now and why. And you've asked your questions in the software, in the Q&A. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once. You've asked your questions in the chat and the Q&A. Thank you very much for sharing those. If you have any further questions, if we haven't been able to answer them during the webinar, they will be answered for you via email, because we'll grab your details from there. If you have any other questions later on, you'll be receiving a survey after the webinar that will give you a chance to ask any further questions. Of course, you can just email us, and I'll give you the email in a moment to be able to do that. And you can also give me feedback on the webinar there, and I hope you found it useful. If you have any constructive feedback on what we can do better, as I said, it's been a long time since I've been doing webinars. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, the services that we do have available, should you not want to go through this process yourself, you can now take this process, this 8-step process, and you can do it yourself. And if you follow what I'm saying, you will make the right choice. If you follow what I'm saying and go through the depth and detail. What I shared with you is what we do in our solution finder process, which includes workflows, and we help you make the right choice. As you'll probably guess, our major choices at this point in time are Deer and Odoo, but if they can't suit your business for what you need, I will tell you that, and we will share that with you, and we'll say, no, this solution will be better for you. And even if there are other solutions that we don't use as much anymore and we're not experts in anymore, as an expert myself managing my team, I will tell you which other solutions will be more suitable for you and why in our free discovery call, even before you get into the solution finder process. But if you want detailed process to go through and have us document everything for you and help you make the decision, then we can do that in our solution finder process. If you just want a personalized demonstration of Deer and Odoo, so without the workflows, it's $1,500 plus GST. If you want just the workflows, so that you just don't have the time to document all of that, then that's all listed there, and it'll be in the following survey as well. Okay, now you will get the survey, you can complete it, send it back to us, and we will be in touch. Any other questions, if you just email sales@wowconnect.com, our team will get it from there and be in touch, because we're all all copied on that. So thank you very much, everybody. I truly appreciate you staying on a little bit longer, as most of you have. I'm very grateful for having you here. I hope you got a lot out of this webinar. I look forward to connecting with you further, and thank you for the support and engagement. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Talk soon.